Where do we begin here? I think that's the goal there, to be honest. That hockey was phenomenal. Oh, we're sponsored by, well, a man can dream.
A man can dream,
Wow,
but we're moving on to the second round against the Battle of Alberta. Let's go!
Hey, Bruce, there it is. Bruce, there it was.
St. Louis decided to just blow up completely in the trade deadline.
I wish it wasn't Adam Fox.
It's two juggernauts just colliding with each other. If he doesn't beat Tampa in the first round, he's out of a job.
Isn't that weird?
Boom! Welcome back to the Puck and Stuff podcast. I am your co-host B-Dog, and right beside me, my co-host T-Dog. How are we doing today?
Buddy, we are doing fantastic. A little more news going on finally, but it's only because we have another episode to release. That's the only time it happens. We record a video, and then boom, news happens. So you guys are welcome. Yeah, how are you doing, good sir?
I'm doing very well, and as you just said, we do finally have some news to talk about, and hopefully more news doesn't just happen as soon as we post this one. So I think we'll just get right into it. But before we start this episode is sponsored by, well, a man can dream.
A man can dream that the Calgary Flames finally have they signed a young player. That's not going to go to Washington. That's
Exactly.
good. That's good. That's good, right? That's good.
That's very good.
That's pretty good. Okay. Well, I don't. Maybe let's get into the Calgary stuff later in the episode here. But something we got to say. I mean, I'm kind of wearing the Boston jersey for a reason, but I'll let you kind of release the news here.
Yeah, I got to release the news that I shaved all my
Oh.
yeah, boys.
Cousin.
I went for the buzz cut, but again, that's not what this is about. I think this is about Patrice Bergeron, after his many years in the NHL, has finally hung up the skates and decided to retire as a Boston Bruin. Kind of sad to see that first round exit now, the more you look at it. Historic season, and you lose one of your best all-time Boston Bruin players. And it hurts for a lot of Bruins fans because now they're getting into transition of, we just lost one of our top guys, but what do we do from now? So T-Dog, what are your thoughts on this retirement, and what is the next path that you see the Boston Bruins taking here?
Well, let me just say, what a career by Patrice Bergeron, and we thank him for his service for not just winning championships in Boston, but as well too with the Team Canada teams, Olympics and all of that stuff. One of the very few players in the triple goal club, so that says something. Let me whip out some stats here for you. In his NHL career, he played 1,294 games, had a total of 427 goals, 613 assists for a total of 1,040 points. 1,000-point player. That says something. There is nothing else to say, but the dude is one of the, or I actually think he is the best two-way player, is the greatest two-way player in this league of all time. Yeah. I thoroughly believe it. There's no reason why he didn't just win like 6 or 7 Selkies out of nowhere. And there are people who are crying out on social media, not just Bruins fans, by the way, but fans all around the league that are saying, rename the Selke trophy to the Bergeron. And you know what? Like, I'm not the one to really care so much about renaming trophies per se. They have their place in history for a reason. But this, I could kind of make sense, honest to goodness. Like, the dude wept the floor every year, it seemed like. The dude was just... Bergeron, not just a great, phenomenal player that could score and play the defensive way as well. He was a leader on the ice. Look at how Boston... did you see Boston's thank you message that they posted on their YouTube? I don't know if you did.
No, I don't think I did.
So it was just a bunch of their players saying thank you. A lot of them, the Grizzled veterans from that team that won the Cup in 2011, as well was there for the 2019 team. Dude, they're sad. Like, it was genuine, heartfelt thank yous. These people like care and really cherish Bergeron for what he was as a player and as a person, which goes to show his character. So the dude all around was just goated. And is he going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Yeah. When he is eligible in 3 years, 100% you can put your vote that he is going to be one of the first to be put up there saying Hall of Fame. 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, and number retired? same thing. Give it maybe 4 years. They probably want to wait with the number retirement because I think they kind of wait a little bit to get a little more excitement, and it's a good, like Calgary doing with Kiprusoff. It's a good way to get the fans out of the spunk of negativity. So
You know
I think
how
that's kind of
long
why as
Kippy
well.
truly waited for that jersey hanging, man?
Dude, 10
Too
years, man.
long. Too
10 to
long.
10 years. That was too long. I
Too
mean,
long. Too long. Bergeron will probably get his up in 5.
yeah, for sure, right?
5 at
So
max, knowing
um
how Boston improves it.
100%. So you also asked me too, hey, what I think their next step is going forward.
Yeah.
So it's Elias Lindholm. No. But thanks for Trent Frederick, guys. That's the main return piece. Woohoo!
Oh my
We're
God,
physical again. Yeah. No, so
gorgeous.
Boston, they're gonna want to stay competitive. You're gonna
Yeah.
have to, right? Just look at the team they are. Little limited on the prospect pooling now because all their young prospects are now in the NHL and they're playing to what their potential is supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
I think DeBrusque, Grizzly are good examples. Same with of course McAvoy. So excuse me. That's something to be said. You have to stay competitive because there's no way you kind of can't, especially coming off a season that you did have within the regular season. Playoffs are a different story, but like you said, it's a little more sad now that we see that.
Yeah.
No, when you see Marchand cry those tears, man, those were genuine tears. I think they kind of knew it was going to happen. I have a feeling though that he maybe told them and was probably made his decision a little earlier than what we found out, but waited a little bit to tell us, which is fair. Anyways, they're going to stay competitive. So what are they going to do? You're going to have to somehow find a way to replace him. That's going to be impossible. There's no way you can, but you need to find some sort of equivalency. What do, right? Who's on the market? That's what you got to look for first. And I can
Elias
see
Lindholm.
people are seeing that. I've even seen some people come to Calgary as well and say, "Hey, we'll take a Noah Hannafin. We'll get a Michael Backlund. Michael Backlund's a great two-way player too. He's always in the Selke votes too, right? So
Wow, what
that's
a
something to be thinking of as
replacement.
well. That would be,
What a
that's the thing.
replacement, man.
Backlund is a great player, but he's a 3 seed, not a 1 seed. That's the difference, man. Right?
I mean, true.
There's a lot. So there's a lot to think about that. And I don't think maybe Lindholm is the answer for say as much as a lot are saying, and it's just on the market. But Boston's going to want to fix that quick. So what do you guys think in the comments? Who do you think they're going to try and replace? I was going to say Marchand, but who do you think they're going to replace Bergeron with? Also, too, I want to know your thoughts as well, and then I'm going to add something else too. Who do you think will be the next captain of the Boston Bruins?
Okay, so I think there is a lot to say here with Bergeron in his amazing career that he had. Stanley Cup, many awards with the Selke King for a reason. And yeah, you talk about his success with Canada and Team Canada. But you got to love a player like that. He's obviously loved by just not Bruins fans, but fans all around in Canada because he's done so much for the game, especially evolving it in the two-way forward that he is. He literally, I'm kind of agreeing with you with the Selke idea of maybe you do switch it to Bergeron. And that's not a bad idea. I think that's a really good passing of the torch because of how many times he just won the Selke. Okay, I don't see how it could be anyone other than Brad Marchand. Like, I don't think Dave Pastrnak hasn't exactly, I don't know how he exactly is a leader in the room, but I would think Brad Marchand is more of that leader quality in the locker room than probably Pastrnak, Charlie McAvoy. Like, yeah, I think out of all the stars that are still left in Boston, Brad Marchand has earned that right to captaincy.
I think it also shows why Boston's been so consistent with their success in a sense, or maybe not Stanley Cups, but being able to be top in the league for maybe division, and then as well too, usually doing somewhat decent in the playoffs. And I think a lot of that has to do with the amount of leadership that's on that team. Yeah. And Marchand, really, that's why he wears an A too, right? Marchand, as much as we all hate him for what he does, but I mean, you'd like him if he was on your team.
Everyone would.
But there is a much of a sense of leadership with him too, and you can tell that he definitely takes it into his own discretion to push the team and want them to be better per se. So yeah, I do think it's going to be Marchand. I don't know if how long they'll excuse me, how long they'll wait to give out a new captaincy, and they might wait a year, but yeah, it's probably gonna be Marchand. It just seems right, and it'd be fitting. It really would be fitting for Boston.
And if we're talking on the question I just asked you of what should Boston do next, damn, that's really hard because now you have two positions here. You could either completely ruin it and just let Boston tank somehow and trade everything, or you get another first liner center to help with Marchand and Pasternak. Because again, like you said, their prospects are low, very low, and they got maybe some, but not enough. So I think it might be time for the Bruins to kind of take this year of what do we do next. But right now, I don't really have an answer unless you give like so much to Calgary for Elias Lindholm.
Yeah, like
I wouldn't mind if you just gave 3 first round picks.
Marcus is a little, off right now, and things are going to happen next season, of course, because of the whole cap increase and all that fun stuff. So, I mean, maybe they'll wait it out, but they're going to be competitive up until everyone is just gone. That's what I think. And, I mean, you kind of have to be competitive again with a team like this. So, we'll see what they're going to be like. I definitely do believe it's going to affect them drastically in the season. But now it might not actually be as bad as we think, but it could be drastically the other way. Because maybe the leadership, like I said, is so strong that someone else takes handle and that elevates them to another level of their game. It's we'll see until the season starts. But all I know is I'm now watching Boston with a close eye because of something like this. So that's what I'm excited for with this whole season, by the way, is so many teams, not just the Flames, of course, because of whatever has happened with us, right? But Winnipeg's another example, right? Even Ottawa, we'll get into them as too, but like Boston, like a lot of these teams, like what's going to happen with them? Because there's a lot of big changes and they could either go this way or go this way. So we'll see. And we'll wait till October. But besides then, we got more things to talk about, hey?
Yeah, literally. I think actually before we move on, you make a really good point with that because if you look at the Atlantic itself, the Leafs made so many changes. Detroit made so many changes. Ottawa made so many changes, which we'll get into. Boston has made so many changes. Like almost every team in that division has made a huge change to the lineup. So that is a division you really want to watch this year. So
100%.
what do we have next in the lineup of free agency, friend?
Okay, so before we get into some players, I do want to talk about Dallas here because I think their team intrigues me, and another team I want to watch for this season. So they rehire their general manager Jim Nill, and you had some stats there for us, hey, like of what his resume is.
Yeah, I kind of got something going on brewing away. So basically, in the 1990s to early 2000s, he was with the Detroit Red Wings organization. He got promoted to assistant GM just as they were about to win their first that cup. I can't remember which cup it is, but it's somewhere in that dynasty of Red Wings cups. And then he was with them until basically 2014, 2015 season. And then he became the GM of the Dallas Stars. He's been there since 2015, 2016 season. And I'm really liking the way Dallas is looking because obviously in those like 2010s, the push on Dallas was Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn. They were probably the best stars that Dallas had since really Mike Modano in Dallas. So now you look at them a couple of years later, and now you look at this team with Robertson and this whole young core that they were secretly building behind the scenes actually just popped out of nowhere, especially with Jake Onger in net. Oh, dude, they look like a bright future. And I got to say, this is the GM that really caused that. So he 100% deserves to be re-signed for what he's just done in the few seasons for Dallas.
And what's crazy is 2020. Like, I know the bubble was so on different, but you still had to be very competitive and well-built team to even last in that bubble. A lot of that was mental too, right? So that says a lot. Dallas has always been a team that for the past decade and a little more has just been, there, but a little bit of star power, what are they going to do, right? The Marty Turco era didn't go as I would say planned, and the end of Modano and all of that per se, but so their big splash is that Sagan Ben era for a little bit. and it looked like maybe there's something there, but it didn't take until adding new additions and things like that, and but getting players like Rupe Hintz, Radek Faksa,
Mm,
Danis Gurianov, right when he was on that team for that 2020 run, you don't have a cup like that unless that even Anton Hudobin, who's on that team too. So it's these little things that I would say, the management team and Jim Nill being the head of it doing is what really got them to where they were. And they're still not out of it, right? And so you you drafted Jake Ottinger, and then you have, RoboCop and Jason Robertson, who's going to be a 50 goal scorer pretty soon here. Just give it another 2 years. Right? And then Wyatt Johnson, Ty Delangia, all these young players keep on going as well. Heiskanen as well too, who's good, who could win an Norris very soon, right? That's another possibility. So
yeah.
these players, like, a lot of that has to do too with your prospect pooling. So you got to give credit or to your scouts. There we go.
There we
So
go.
credit to them as well. But I mean, managing a team to look like this, like they've never fully been out of it. They've never been like, okay, let's dump it all and some
Stars.
mediocrity
Yep.
for a little bit, and it's Stars have always been somewhat competitive. So yeah, good on him. Like, I mean, what he's done is impressive, actually. And Dallas could honestly, we could be talking about this and back at this in a few years and be like, dude, yeah, this guy, yeah, like Dallas really was the real deal.
I mean, yeah, what they're basically doing right now is setting up to be like, oh, Dallas could look like that dark horse juggernaut that comes out of nowhere in playoffs again, because they just added Matt Duchene to this lineup, and their top 9 is looking very good going into this regular season. So who knows what they can do this regular season? But again, like you said, we won't know until October when they first start playing. But what people are starting to say with this team is they're looking Stanley Cup ready for a run here. So I wouldn't be surprised if they make it to a conference finals, in my opinion. 100%.
Yeah, very
Calgary
well
versus
suited.
Dallas again.
Oh,
Yeah.
could you do conference? I'm trying to think if you could. Yeah, you could. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Because Pacific and that was just because we were first seed and they were in eighth.
Yep.
Or we're second.
They were a
Yeah.
wild card team because we were
Wild card.
first in the division.
Yeah, exactly. So
Because it was between Nashville and Dallas, and they
yeah,
switched on us last game.
you're right.
We thought we were getting Nashville.
Yeah, that would have been something, hey.
Oh,
But
memories.
yeah, memories, hey, back in the good old days. I
Right.
want to get into the big one here. The Carolina Hurricanes, they needed to do this one because he is a superstar. Sebastian Aho gets re-signed, an 8-year deal, but he's locked in, baby, for $1 worth of $9.75 million per season. What do you think about this trade? What do you think about this signing? Because it's much needed.
Okay, so we look at Sebastian Aho for the last few seasons with Carolina, and dude, he has proven so much already at such a young age. I think Carolina already recognizes that this Sebastian Aho is going to be your franchise guy, 100%. Last year, he played 75 games and put up 67. So, I mean, on a little bit of an off season, he still was able to produce so well and only playing a few games. Last season, he played 79 games, put up 81 points. So he actually became more a point per game than actually this season. But again, we're still talking about a first line center that they did need to sign before it became that year of, oh, are we going to really have a struggle with this? But no, I think you signed him well. I think it was a good contract to give to a player that obviously deserved it. And what Carolina's trying to do here is obviously try to become a beast of the East and get to a cup finals as well, because they got stomped on by Florida last year. So I think a good signing, and I think they really needed this.
Oh yeah, well, he's the franchise player of the team now, right?
Exactly.
He has been for a little bit, but if you're getting a jersey, you see a lot of these as Aho jerseys on the back, and there's a reason for that. Like RoboCop, he's due to get probably, I would say, a 50-goal season eventually once in his year or his career there.
The closest he got was 37. So
37. So he'll most likely hit 40, but I'm thinking he'll hit the 50 range soon, right? And the Aho style is just you're not going to want to lose that, right? You drafted him, and that's your superstar, man. The dude is just everything in between what you need for forward center at that, right? So I really do believe that on days where Carolina struggles to score, he's one of the only reasons why they can't get out of games and win them. In that sense, right? He's a deal breaker. He can score, when it's needed to. So he's got that clutch mentality too. So really, it's making sure that you got the money to sign people around him. That's what I think. And maybe do you make the team a little more Aho-esque? Make a little more faster. I think it's good they have a little bit of body presence as well, but oh yeah, a good reason why, like, I wouldn't say it's all the reason, of course, but a big chunk of the reason why Carolina is so competitive and has been so competitive and almost successful for a few years now is because of Aho and what he's bringing to the table to Carolina. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you're actually onto something too, because honestly, I just thought about this with Sebastian Aho. He's kind of in the situation of what Barkov was realistically in a couple seasons ago, because if you really looked at how Florida was when it was just Barkov and Huberdeau before they got into playoff-esque, it was really just Barkov, the main scorer of that team. And then they made the huge change to get a star like a Chuck, and now he had a winger that could absolutely dominate for him. So I think when Carolina gets a player that can totally support Sebastian Aho as Kachuk did the Barkov, dude, they could make that finals run if they really will.
Oh, it's very true, right? I mean, of course, again, you're right. That could very much happen. The cap thing will be a problem, right? Because you're going to probably lose Brett Pesce and other players for say. But you know what? Yeah, if you make a big splash, I mean, if you make a big splash though, right? And players will want to go to Carolina too. So even with the shakeup that Carolina's kind of had to do, not crazy shakeup, but you know what I mean, just because of the cap situation, I don't think it's going to affect them completely. And give it some time. I mean, they're running out of time a little around with that window a little bit, but if you play the cards right, this could be a really good thing, and they really could get over that hump. And if they get over that hump, they could be like Washington. Once they eventually get over that hump that they have, they can go all the way. So, again, another team to watch because that's intriguing.
Yeah, literally. So what do we got next for signings?
Okay, speaking of the Hurricanes, I was going to say this before, but realized this is the wrong one I wanted to talk about first. So Tony DeAngelo is coming back to the Carolina Hurricanes. Cheap deal too, actually, so a prove me deal. 1-year deal worth $1.675 million. All I'm gonna say with this one is he struggled in Philly. He did. And I wonder if a lot of the controversies that he has under his belt, kind of has a hand into that. But coming back to Carolina, this could be a phenomenal deal. It really could, right? Maybe not the craziest risk, but if he can come back to what he was a few seasons ago, that's a good deal, especially at a 1.6 mil range. And, is he a replacement for some defenseman that you're leaving? Maybe. We'll see. He just needs to come back to the game that he could play. But we don't know if that's possible. So what do you think about this?
So actually, the more I looked at it, technically, yes, it was a down year by DeAngelo. But when he was with Carolina, he played 64 games and was still able to put up 51 points. And he had a plus minus of 30. And that's very impressive.
It's much better than people see. That's what's crazy. I feel like if you take out all the craziness that people the whole all the controversy has around him, I wonder if it's talked of different. I really do.
Dude, that's a very productive defenseman the more you look at it too. And 100%. That's just with Carolina.
Oh, and that was exactly right. Especially
here, I'll even give you this. When he went to Philly, he played 70 games. He had 11 goals, 31 assists for 42 points, but he only had a plus minus of negative 27. So obviously he had a very it was kind of ugly, but dude, that's still productive.
But it's Philly. But yeah, exactly,
it's Philly, right? And he's going.
Here's the problem. People are going to compare this with Carlson because Carlson did it with a really crappy San Jose team. So it's like, why can't they do it with that? So there's that comparison, which makes no sense to me because Carlson's in an echelon that's different. But still, right? I mean, it's a down season, and I think a lot had to play with it, but maybe going to a team competitive like Carolina and, back to a place in Carolina, maybe this helps his game.
Yeah.
This might be a Don Waddell W.
Yeah, honestly, because you look at D'Angelo's season with Carolina, that was his second highest career in points per season. So now that he did struggle a little bit with Philly, but still, I think when you have over 40 points with a crappy team and you're like a defenseman at most, that's impressive. That is
Yeah.
very impressive. And you already look at what Carolina's defensive core has been basically building around right now is some veteran, like big veteran defensemen that know how it takes to be in playoffs. And that's what they've built. So adding another piece like this that can produce on the depth defenseman is absolutely astounding for what Carolina needs right now. So I got to give it a thumbs up because you got him for cheap.
Yeah, you got him on the bargain bin deal. That is very true. So
Very.
yeah, Carolina, man, making some moves, Speaking of moves, all right. So next signing I want to talk about today, the Florida Panthers re-signed Eetu Luostarinen to a 3-year deal worth $3 million. Now, I do like this signing, a young player. I can pull up the stats when you can find him, but with Luostarinen, I really think that Florida missed him in the finals. He did get injured in the playoffs there, right? And wasn't there for the finals.
Yeah.
And I think they missed a depth player like that. I really do. He has some scoring ability. I think his scoring potential isn't tapped into much yet because of how young he is. But don't fool you, that $3 million is, I think, worth the money and a great depth piece. And I only think they can only get better from here.
I think honestly, I have to agree with you here because so if you just looked at what Florida's done this offseason, they sadly had to get rid of Anthony Duclair.
Yeah.
And that did hurt a little bit because I thought that was a great depth piece to have during that playoff run they had last year. But a signing like this is actually very good for this team because he's only 24 years old. Last year, he played 82 games and had 43 points and a plus minus of 19. That is a much big jump to what he had last season where he played 78 games and was only putting up 26 points. That's a big jump for only a year gap. And he's only 24. So he's still getting up there to his prime. So this could potentially look, and the age of 27, this guy could look like a 60 points player at the end of the season. And then he gets a new contract. So that's even scarier.
Yeah, for sure. It kind of gives me Dylan Dubé vibes a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I just that's kind of what I was thinking the entire time I saw this contract. I'm like, that maybe that potential hasn't been tapped in completely, but there's a possibility, and you root for that. Again, Luostarinen, I feel like Florida. I don't think Florida was ever going to have a chance to win against Vegas. In all honesty, after watching all that happen, but Luostarinen being back with that team, I think would have really helped them. Maybe not in the scoring department much per se, but I mean, then again, it's playoffs, anything happens, so maybe he would have.
Maybe.
But yeah, so great signing in Florida. You know what? It makes sense to get him and leave Duclair. Duclair's older.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it, you know what I mean? So, Luostarinen is younger and there's more potential there. And yeah, I mean, if it doesn't work out, probably a good trade value piece. That's what I say. And a good deal too. So it all works out in that sense. So good job, Florida. Keep on doing what you're doing. And just don't beat us when we play you guys this season. Pretty much. Okay.
Chuck. We don't like you no more.
Okay, what do you think? Toronto, Ottawa? Just pick.
Toronto.
Okay, cool. So Toronto. I was going to do some Ottawa reference into the whole Tarasenko thing. We'll talk about Matt Murray first. So Brad, the pizza man Trey Living, has put Matt Murray on the long-term injured reserve. So that's what they're going to do with Matt Murray. Now, do you think he was really injured? I actually don't know, but maybe he was. So how much? So you free up cap space. Yeah. That's it. And getting Samsonov on the arbitration, so you for sure know who your goalie is. Wall is probably going to be your backup. So you figure out your goalie piece. Now, here's the thing though with Toronto, even though you did that, you're still under the cap. By $12 million?
Jesus Christ. Last time I checked, it was 8.
Yeah, you guys are getting
They
up
went
to be like the governments,
overboard?
man. Just debt. That's crazy, bro. What?
I don't know if Toronto can get away with that like Tampa did in the playoffs,
Isn't
bro.
this crazy though? Think of it. Matt Murray's got the contract LTIR for 4.6 mil, and Muzzin's was 5.6. This
Oh,
is
dude.
combined $10 million on the LTIR, 10.3, and they're still okay. So cap space with sorry, we kind of misguided you guys. With LTIR candidates, it's $2 million.
Okay, that's
Okay, so we didn't complete. Okay, so no, that's crazy.
not...
So $2 million, still gonna struggle. You still gotta sign Nylander and all that fun stuff. A lot to think about here. I'm just gonna hand it over to you, Matt. What do you think about this? I mean, I guess that's what was gonna happen with Matt Murray. What do you think about this move, and what do you think this entails with the Leafs? I think there's a lot to unfold here, so I think it's a good conversation piece to have.
Yeah, I think with Matt Murray, obviously, since his Pittsburgh Penguin days, he's been struggling to really find that place where he actually can play like he did to win a cup. So I think, honestly, out of every year we've seen Matt Murray, this was his most productive year since the Pittsburgh days because he played. Sorry, one second. He played in 26 games. He won 14 out of 8. He had a save percentage of 3.01, which isn't bad, but for what his last few years have been, it's one of the best. And he had a save percentage of 903. I mean, not bad, but again, a lot better than the last few years he's had. So was this the right move? Who knows if it was actually injured or not? It's a way to clear cap space in an interesting way for sure. But dude, I gotta admit, Toronto's going to be in cap hell for at least the next few years, and you still haven't signed Nylander or Austin Matthews. So that's very concerning to see your two best. Well, not best. I would say Mitch Marner's better than Nylander, but that's a big part of your three, man. You drafted those guys and built them up into your lineup from the beginning. So it's a lot of high risk, high reward with Toronto right now because there's a lot of cap hell looking behind you, but you got your two future stars or your two stars realistically now that potentially could leave because of terrible contract talks. There we go. So I'm interested to see what Toronto does with this, but I mean, you had to clear some at least. So good move? Question mark? Yeah.
It's good. We have 3 minutes, so let me just say my thing, and then we'll just end it, and then come back. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Make it quick.
Yeah. No. Well, what you said is pretty spot on, pretty good. I cannot see a scenario where you don't have to trade at least one of your like big four there. And I think Nylander has to be the one to go, but it's tough. I mean, yeah, Murray. I was rooting for him to do well, and unfortunately, keep getting injured, and it's not working out right now. And the LTR is the way to go. So we'll see how that helps out. But okay, moving on. So we'll go to the other part of Ontario there and go to Ottawa. So they signed a player which I did not think was going to go to this team, but he did. Vladimir Tarasenko signs a 1-year deal worth $5 million through the Ottawa Senators, making their top 6. Not too bad considering they just lost Alex DeBrincat. I want to hear what your thoughts are on this one. This is some pretty cool news. I did not expect it at all.
Yeah, I think I'm right in the boat with you. I didn't expect Tarasenko going right to Ottawa like that, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense because, like you said, Ottawa just lost to DeBrincat, and you look at Tarasenko, he's still a very the first line player for any team that he goes on for sure, especially a team like Ottawa that needs a right winger right now for sure. We looked at him in St. Louis on his last season. He played 38 games and put up 29 points, plus minus of -18 with St. Louis his last year. But then he gets traded to the Rangers at the trade deadline. He played 31 games, put up 21 points with a plus minus of 4. Sadly enough, the Rangers couldn't make that playoff push like they wanted to with their additions in the trade deadline with Kane and Tarasenko. Booted first round by the Devils. So that was sad to see. But Tarasenko was like, I need a new change of scenery. So why not go to Ottawa and a team that is looking like they could take a playoff spot next season? A lot of people might say that's ridiculous, but again, we said that last season. They thought we all thought that they were going to get that playoff spot before Boston, but look what Boston does. Look what happened to Ottawa. So now you look at this team with Ottawa. I think it's a really good signing for them because it's just 1 year of $5 million. Worst scenario, you don't sign them next year, or you're crap out in the season and you trade them for trade bait. So
or you even deadline them, trade them at the deadline there for a rental, and someone who really is really desperate for a rental, they'll give you a little bit of value, right? So that's very possible.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity here for Tarasenko to see how Ottawa is doing in their situation this season. But again, we'll never know until it happens. But good signing by Ottawa for sure.
You know, you mentioned the points, and not as bad as I think people really put him out to be for New York.
Yeah,
I know that he's losing the step a little bit in the case of it's not his prime no more. But still, he has an impact and can be an impact. And I think him being on that second line for Ottawa is good. I don't think he is. I think the Brinket, you'd prefer to keep him, of course, if you could. But Tarasenko is, I think, a decent replacement. And again, maybe changing somewhere else will help him rejuvenate specifically. But again, 21 points in 31 games is not that bad, and a +4 too. So, I think there's a little bit of over exaggeration. But I think it comes to especially from the fact that Ottawa is a team that you wouldn't expect some big name player to go to. And so people are going to talk about it like that as if, oh, well, it's because of this or whatever. You know what I mean? I almost feel like if maybe he went somewhere else, it'd be a little different story. But yeah, Florida offered him more. Same with San Jose, but he chose Ottawa.
Same with Carolina too, actually.
Yeah, you're right. So I don't know why specifically, but all I know is, good for Ottawa fans. I think that's something to look at. I think that's some positive look, and it'll be weird seeing him in an Ascends jersey. Hey,
yeah.
It'll be weird. Red. I can't get hit. That's weird. He'll be in red and black. He won't be in blue. That's
and
weird.
O'Reilly's going to be in Nashville wearing yellow,
man.
a gross mustard
weird.
yellow.
Yeah. It's pretty how it works. Hey, but
funny.
I think Tarasenko could be a good fit for Ottawa. Again, we'll have to see what happens. I think, when Josh Norris comes back from being injured, I think that'll help out too. And I think their top six looks fine. I'm not gonna play that game again and be like Ottawa is gonna be some some dark horse team like I said last season. I'm not gonna make that prediction because I messed up on that. But they're still competitive, and I think that's what matters. And again, another team I'm interested in looking at because that plus Korpisalo being their main goalie now, and I think the Ottawa fans all around are happy about this.
Yeah, I think so too.
100%. But the Ottawa, good job, guys. Okay, so
thumbs up.
We have to end this off with our team. The Flames. You're seeing the background there for B-Dog's camera angle.
You're goddamn right.
So we have signed the entry level deal for our newly drafted first round prospect, Samuel Honzek. So he gets the 3 years at $950K. I am excited about this, and I think I get more excited every day about this because, he apparently has a great shot. It's been talked about a lot. Iginla was giving him some pointers. And man, for his, this is so funny because Daryl Sutter would have loved this kid. Big body, but bro, can he skate? He's got the skates on, got the wheels on him, and he's got a scoring touch. He has a shot. So this is very promising. So he could be NHL ready. And that makes me think like, man, our fourth line could literally just be a bunch of young players. And I think it's exciting for me to see that we could have Coronado on there, for say being NHL ready. Same with, some of the AHL players, and Honzek could even crack it. It's very possible that Honzek could crack that roster. So that's really cool. I'm excited to see what happens. But what are your thoughts on this, B-Dog?
Yeah, I think obviously the entry level deal makes a lot of sense. Samuel Honzek, we actually, funny enough, just posted a video on him getting
Literally.
drafted to us. That was way too late, but hey, I still got it out. But honestly, yeah, I think with Honzek, he's obviously proven so much from just one season in WHL. He played a lot when Slovakia, but funny enough, he hasn't played a lot in the juniors. So hopefully he cracks a World Junior spot this year, and I would love to watch him play
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure. I'd be repping for Slovakia
Yeah,
completely.
it would be very interesting to see him play. But with his one season with the Vancouver Giants, he played 43 games and put up 56 points and a plus minus of 16. I think that's great for obviously a player like Samuel Honzek. That is our prospect now to watch. And plus, if you look at the Flames prospects, I think our wingers are pretty set now because, like you said, we got Honzek now, we got Coronado. You still have Connor Zachary still down there as well. And you just look at Peltier right now. He cracked the roster spot last year, and he's 100% guaranteed one for this coming season. So I'm really excited to see what our winger prospects can bring to the table because, again, I think realistically, this team should be filling them with those spots. So, and give our prospects a chance to show what they can really do. And if not, sadly enough, you'll have to send them down. But hey, give them a chance. Other than 2 games with the guy you just sent to Washington. Oh, that made me mad still. But
I know.
that I'm happy to see that we just signed him, and he's getting tips from one of the best scorers the Flames have ever had. So that's great to always hear about, especially about an 18-year-old you just signed. So
You know, this is getting me excited because you didn't even mention not Pelche, Verzishka and Dewar. So I
yeah,
think
right.
that's even better too, right? Now, you know what? I think the best case scenario is could we possibly have a Dallas Star situation where these young players kind of grow into their role and it really helps the team out and it keeps them competitive.
Yeah.
That could be worst case scenario. Too young to really be in the NHL, and you're just crappy, and you need to do the rebuild. I think that will eventually happen no matter what. But there is some promise for the youngsters on the youngster side of this team, and it gives me hope because this year isn't going to be a year to really worry about playoffs or Stanley Cup, to be honest. And me, in my opinion, I already haven't really cared if we don't make the playoffs. I think steps need to be taken, so I don't think that'll be the one step to be taken for say. I think it's a step back, one step forward, one step back, 2 steps forward. I almost wonder if that's what needs to happen. But it's getting me very excited because just getting young guys who have heart. They want to play. Maybe they want to play for a contract, but also too they want to play for the crest because they love the game. So they want to prove it. And that is what us fans are going to enjoy and want to see because, man, if I watch a hockey team, I always come back to the season prior, but that team played with heart, and you could tell they would. And Washington was fun seeing 2 teams battle it out with a lot of heart. So if we can get that again, dude, your ticket prices are gonna go through the roof. By the way, so Flames CSCC just remember that. Put on a team that people want to watch, then you'll actually make your money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
And
I want to watch and follow and be more inclined to really be invested.
yeah, I think we're right on that point too, because I think again, I think we talked about this before on the Flames talk, but I think if we're really looking into next season with the Flames, dude, this season matters a lot more than a lot of people think because
100%.
we obviously last Flames talked, we had conversation about Elias Lindholm possibly leaving, Backlund, Noah Hannafin, and like so much technically is going on still with the Flames that when we play next year, if we don't make playoffs, there's a good chance we're going to a full rebuild here. But if we make playoffs, that'll change a lot of heads of what we do now. Like the team is competitive enough to still make playoffs, but imagine if they somehow go on a stupid run or like, dude, could you imagine that? Like we talk this kind of crap of like, oh brother, we got to sign so many veteran guys that don't want to come back, and they somehow pull out a run again.
I mean, it might be either the best or worst thing is sometimes these runs mess teams up. I mean,
I mean,
Um,
yeah, but it would
what team went on a run that really messed them up in recent
St.
history? I'm
Louis.
trying to think. St. Louis. Well, yeah, they won a cup though. That's a different story. Like
But
losing. There's a team I can't really think right now. I mean, it almost messed Vegas up. It
eh,
almost did. 2018, it almost messed Vegas up. Actually, if you think about it.
if you really want to say that, say Washington. Are you thinking of teams that did
Nashville.
win a cup?
Well, if they
Nashville.
win a cup, that's the goal. So I'm thinking if they lost Nashville, I think it's an example.
But I mean, like, imagine
Um,
if this Flame team somehow did have a cup run and they lost in like a game 7. Like, would you
again,
say that's a waste of a season? Like, sure, it
no,
would
it
be
wouldn't be.
rebuild next.
It wouldn't be. But you know, again, that's the nice thing is everything's up in the air. Anything could happen, and I think something like signing and maybe potentially having Honzek in your lineup is it's a nice little possibility, right? So it's you
Yeah.
hope something works out with it. And I don't think he'll actually crack the roster. He'll probably go back to. How does that work? Juniors or would he for sure go to?
I think he
No,
would
he can't
probably
go.
WHL again. I think he goes back to Vancouver for one more
Yeah,
season. I really hope he cracks a roster spot playing in the World Juniors. And then
for sure.
I think Coronado is worthy of a spot more than Honzek right now.
You know, Honzek probably comes in either 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to. And yeah, I mean, again, like we were saying, everything is up in the air, and anything is possible. That's very true. So we'll see what else the Flames do in this offseason. They're definitely not done yet because they have to figure something out with Backlund, Hannafin, and Lindholm.
Oh my God, big
So
trade.
we'll
Please
have
tell
to
me big
get
trade.
on to that. But time will tell. And hey, let's just be happy right now because more things could be worse, right?
So Flame
Yeah.
fans, don't buy a jersey with a name on it unless it's Peltier, Honzek, or Coronado, or Dustin Wolf. I would
Well,
definitely
you
buy
could do
Wolf one.
Huberto though, because no one's gonna get trade for that. Even if you retain 90%, no one's taking that.
You know
So
what? Just wait.
this season, this
One season with him. I know he did bad. Just wait. Just wait.
it'll be next season, dude.
Next season. Next season.
I mean, we all know this, but I think he'll have a bounce back. So
There's always
but hey, what can you do? I guess you just gotta wait for that. Pretty much. All right, so that's all we have really talk about this week. So thank you guys very much for watching, listening, however you are consuming this content. If you did like it, smash that like button, please, and thank you. If you even liked it even more, leave a comment down below. Comment question of the day: which signing intrigued you the most, and what do you think about that Leafs situation? Putting Murray on LTIR, that's a lot to do. A lot to think about as well. But anyways, B-Dog, I'll let you finish it off here.
Yeah, thank you so much, T-Dog. Thank you guys for watching. And if T-Dog, just like T-Dog said, if you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. We love the support you guys give to us on TikTok and on YouTube. We just hit 275. We love to see the support you guys are giving to us. And hey, just keep it up in the free world. And guys, we will see you in the next one.
Yes, sir. Peace.